Okay, everyone, welcome again to another one of our lessons. And now, for this lesson, I want to go and create a sign-in form. After finishing the sign-up form, let's now work on a sign-in.html form. So, of course, we also want to go and place that here in our sign-in link, sign-in.html. Now, the same with our sign-up form here, we would want to go and have the same styling that we have here up to the body element here. So let's go and copy that, and also of course give the HTML5 template and place this inside of our head element and close our style tag here. So let's format our document here and replace this with a sign in information, the title here. Now let's go down the body element and let's go use a form element, and you would see here again the action attribute. That simply means that this will be specifying where to send the form data when a form is submitted. So the value of the action attribute here will be sending the form data. Just take note that a PHP file is a server scripting language, or PHP is a server scripting language which is used for dynamic and interactive web pages. It is quite used and it's free, and it's an efficient alternative to competitors such as Microsoft ASP. Just so that you will not get confused with regards to what is the PHP file, I've already opened here documentation about what PHP is all about. And again, this is not a PHP course, but I want you to know that this is something that is present and can be used by web developers in projects that they will be building. So as stated here, what you should already know before you continue, you should have basic understanding of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And here, what is PHP? It is an acronym for PHP Hypertext Preprocessor. PHP is a widely used open source scripting language. It is executed on the server, and PHP is free to download and use. So PHP is an amazing and popular language. It is powerful enough to be at the core of the biggest blogging system on the web, such as WordPress. We'll be talking about that in succeeding lesson. And it is also used and run in social networks such as Facebook and so on. So we can see here PHP files can contain text, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and PHP code. PHP code is executed on the server and the result is returned to the browser as plain HTML. PHP files have an extension of .php. You will see here it can generate dynamic web page content, create, open, and read, write, delete, and close files on the server, can collect form data, receive cookies and send them, add, delete, modify data in your database. So you would see that we can connect our HTML web page to a database through the use of PHP. Okay, and you can also use it for control user access, and you can use it for encrypting data. So you would see here that the newest version is PHP 7, and it runs on various platforms such as Windows, Linux, and so on. And we can see here that you can download it for free at the official PHP resource, which is www.php.net. So now let's go back to our project here. I just wanted you to know that this is another information that you should be aware of, because you might want to go and use this scripting language for your future projects. Okay, so moving back to our code editor here, now let's try to go and work with our form here, and let me go and create an input type here with a class name of input text or input email with a placeholder enter email or username. Then let's have an input type. Let's say password. You would see here that this will automatically mark your content as bullets instead of the main characters that you're entering into your input element. Let's just go and save this first. Let's go and see this on our browser, how that will look. Let's refresh and go back to our signin.html here, and now we can see that we have here the two input elements from where we have the email and the password. Now let's go back to our code editor here, and let's try to go and put a button here with the word submit, and let's give it a class name of button sign in. Now let's go and select some of this here. Let's have the input email. Let's have the input password and the input, oops, not input, but button sign in. Let's not use the dash here. So this will have similar formats. Let me just replace this. That's just my preference, okay guys? You can always use your own preference for naming your classes. You can use which conventions will be a lot easier for you to remember and to apply in your own projects, okay? So we do have here our input email, input password. We don't have that yet, so class input PSW here. Let's also go and put all of this inside of a div that we'll call form container. And let's copy all of this here. Let's first place that class name here, container. Now what I want to do next here, before we go and install all of these class selectors here, I would want to go and target the form element selector here and give it a border of 3 pixels solid white, back shadow of 10 pixels black. Let's give it a border radius of 5 pixels and a height of at least 28 viewport height, and let's position it absolute inside of our document and give it a width of 25%, and so that we can move it to the center, top 50%, left 50%. You would see that we have been using this in previous lessons and I'm using it repeatedly, so at least you can go and practice and remember how we can maximize the use of these different properties here. Now let's go back to our browser here and try to refresh it. And now we have a small box here that contains our input elements and the buttons. Now let's go back to our code editor here and then let's give some styling to our form container here. So we do have the form container and I would want to give it a background color of RGB 1684 211. Let's have a margin of at least 2 pixels, padding of 3 pixels, height of 26.5 VH, border radius of 5 pixels. Let's give it a color of white and text align center. Let's save that and let's go back to our browser and let's see how that will look now. Okay, so it's almost similar with our other form. Now we have a blue color in front, foreground, and a white background at the back below the blue form container here. Now let's go and try to apply some styling in our input email element here. So let's give it a border radius of 5 pixels, margin of 20 pixels, 5 pixels on the right, 5 pixels on the bottom, 5 pixels on the left. And let's give it a padding left of 5 pixels. Let's see first how that will look on our browser. Okay, so at least we have some space here. So let's go back to our code editor here. Let's give it a margin bottom of 10 pixels here, a height of 30 pixels, and a width of 70%. And let's have it displayed as inline block. Let's see how that will look on our browser. There we go. So it's now aligned on the center. Now let's apply the same styling in our input password. Okay, let's see here how that will look. There we go. So now let's go and apply a line break here. Let's go back to our browser here. And now we have our submit button at the bottom of the enter password and the enter email or username here. So that will be all for now, everyone. In the next lesson, we'll be working with the submit button, and we'll also try to go and work with closing the or canceling the sign in form here. Okay, so thank you and see you on our next lesson.